Originally, I wasn't going to cover a video about how Titans are pretty much unkillable this season. Every other YouTuber pretty much copied each other's builds and made the same video over and over again. But since it was highly requested of me, I'm going to be talking about my unkillable Titan build with a couple of different changes here and there. Nothing too major, but I'm just going to talk about it and just show you how dumb this is. Just to quickly run through the subclass, main things to note, you want the Bonk Hammer Titan. Grenade doesn't really matter, I just have Thermite on, but mainly the aspects you want is Roaring Flames. Any solar abilities or ignitions increase the damage of your solar abilities. That stacks up to 3 times. And then Soul Invictus, basically any solar ability final blow from that or your supers or defeating scorched targets creates a sunspot. When you stand in a sunspot, it regenerates your abilities faster and your super drains more slowly while standing in it. Plus the sunspots apply scorch and deal more damage to targets inside of them, and entering a sunspot applies restoration. And again, fragment wise, main thing right here is Ember of Empyrean. Again, solar weapon ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant. Then pairing that with Ember of Solace, radiant restoration effects last longer. Then Ember of Blistering, defeating targets with solar ignitions grants grenade energy. And then another one, Ember of Torches, powered melee attacks, not kills, attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. Pairing the Solar 3.0 changes with the Lordly Splendor Exotic Helm in its perk, Cauterizing Flame, when you're critically wounded with full class ability energy, or when you cast a barricade, it creates a sunspot at your location that has improved restoration effects. And then the mods I have on the helmet here, main thing to note is Explosive Wellmaker. Rapidly defeating combatants with explosive damage spawns a solar elemental well. On the gauntlets here, we have Focusing Strike, grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a melee attack, aka the Bonk Hammer. And then Elemental Ordnance, defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type, in this case, solar. On the chest piece, main thing to note, Font of Might. Picking up an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type grants a temporary bonus to weapon damage of that same elemental type, aka you're picking up solar wells, your solar weapons get bonus damage. For the boots, main thing to note is Melee Wellmaker. Powered melee combatant final blows spawn elemental wells matching your subclass energy type, and in this case, again, it's going to be solar. And on the class item here, main thing to note is Well of Life. Picking up a solar elemental well grants increased regeneration for a short period of time, aka your health. And I know you guys are like, David, why aren't you using classy restoration? Obviously, you pop the barricade, you get like ×2 restoration. Well, guess what? With Lordly Splendor, you do not need classy restoration. That means this build will be viable outside of the current season with the restoration abilities. Because unfortunately, after this, when Hunters and Warlocks don't get classy restoration, Warlocks can get, restoration ×1 with a healing grenade, or ×2 by, doing a Phoenix dive. But you have to melee at the same time. It's really weird. I'll be talking about that in a whole separate video. And then Hunters only get restoration ×1 with just the healing grenade. So Titans after this season will still be extremely viable. So just keep that in mind. And obviously the main stat here to focus on is Resilience. I have this at 100, which gives me a 40% damage reduction in PvE. If you can't tell the synergy, right? Any solar ability kills or scorch kills or whatever create a sunspot. Every time you go through a sunspot, you get an increase to your ability regeneration and your health. Oh, you're also creating solar elemental wells with pretty much everything in your arsenal. You pick those up, that grants Well of Life. You get a health regen from that. Oh, guess what? Lordly Splendor, anytime you hop on a sunspot, it gives you a bonus to restoration. So there's really no need for something like classy restoration. You popping the barricade and then getting it, there's really no point, since literally everything else in your arsenal allows you to have a restoration ×2, and as long as you're chaining kills, you're pretty much having your health up and back constantly. Now for weapons, you can pretty much use anything you want here, but again with Font of Might, you might want to focus on solar weapons to have that extra bonus weapon damage with those weapons. Speaking of mods, there are a couple things to substitute in if you wanted to. Again, you could go with something like Bountiful Wells. Again, Elemental Well mods that cause you to spawn Elemental Wells can now stack, spawning additional wells for each additional copy. So again, instead of spawning 1 well, you'd spawn 2. You could put on something like Well of Ordnance. Again, picking up a solar elemental well grants you additional grenade energy. That could be helpful. You could do Font of Wisdom. Again, picking up an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type grants you a temporary significant increase to your intellect, pretty much making your intellect 100 for like 30 seconds, so you get your super back a lot faster. You got a billion options here for this. Just note, the main thing that I talked about in the synergy is you're going to be constantly having restoration, and you're getting a 40% damage reduction in PvE. Like, it's so hard to die with this. This is why a lot of people use this for the duality dungeon. There's a lot of adds, especially in the final encounter, and having abilities that do bonus damage and allow you to get your health back very quickly and give your weapons bonus damage. It's just absolutely bonkers. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My painful Unkillable Titan build. Like I mentioned, a bunch of other people did this build. I kind of did this out of satire because Titans are literally unkillable this season. So if you did want to try this out, go for it. A lot of people have already solo flawless the dungeon using pretty much this exact build. And speaking of the dungeon, if you had not had the opportunity to complete the duality dungeon, again, I will be doing carries throughout the season, and I do those live on Twitch, twitch.tv/itsDaveTVGaming. Again, we're doing those every week to help people out. If you haven't done it, again, follow me on Twitch, and then also join my Discord. That link will be in the description as well. That is going to be the main way for us to communicate in the dungeon. We have done no comms, but it makes it a lot easier if you have some sort of communication with us during that dungeon. If you guys like what you saw, again, you can always drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then turn on that bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on another one of these build videos. But name it, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.